Gluten-free. Gluten-free is an enormous market segment. It's a $2.6 billion market. It's growing 30% a year since 2006. And they expect it to be $6 billion. I think they're smoking something. I don't think it's going to be $6 billion. There are people that are, there's 1 in 133 people, as you see here, have a true gluten intolerance, if those numbers are correct. There's about 2 to 3 million that have true celiac disease, which is, relatively speaking, small. However, those people are a very good market because they must stay on this diet. As you all know that study nutrition, celiac disease is a very dreadful disease. It's very uncomfortable, very painful, and you can die from it eventually. But it's a very small number, but a very big repeat purchase. What's interesting is that only 13% of people actually bought foods because it was gluten-free. So they buy your food and then they look at it, oh, it's gluten-free. Oh, I didn't know that, but I bought the food because I bought the food. And one of the things you see, all the celebrities, what's her name's on The View, is on the gluten-free diet. It is a very, very trendy thing. And as those things run their pace, this market is going to go back to normal, meaning representing 2 to 3% of the population. So those of you in the bakery business in particular, you know, keep your eye on this for a while. But you can see, I can give you, anybody wants any data on this, just send us an email. And if we have data on it, we'll be happy to share it with you because this stuff is extremely expensive to get. These are those confusing curves, but I just want to point out why this is happening. Here's, this is gluten, right? Here's the amount of medical studies being done around the world. So we got 4,500 this year. And then over here, you can see the other ones are the glycemic. You see it taken off. It's hit a mass market back in 2006, 2007, and it's off to the races. Now, if you look at gluten and everything else in the literature or what's going on out there, the only thing that is moving is true gluten deficiency, true celiac disease. And that is not strong enough to keep this anywhere near a mass market, and it's going to end up going like this. So, hasn't been wrong yet. It even predicted low carb. So longer term, gluten's going to sleep. Lastly, I think, well, maybe there's one more thing, sodium. We all know that all the reports are out, all the new numbers on sodium. Sodium is going to be a big thing. Here is the government's hit list. In this, you can take this and blow this up. But over here, here are the levels of intake. Here's males and females. Here is the 1,500 milligrams. Here's the recommended. And there isn't anybody but young girls aged 2 to 5 that aren't over the recommended amount of sodium in the diet. So it's not going away. And now they're really after the hidden sodium. And sodium in chicken, pork, fish injected in the marinades is the #1 target. Breads and cereals, and I'll show you on the next one who's doing what, but chicken kits and mixed dishes, you know, all these, you know, the dried food kits, pizza and pasta, the cold cut folks. It's really going to be a nightmare. Campbell's soup, just so you know, is almost $1 billion in their low sodium business. They keep it very quiet, but where they've gone to low sodium, it has been an enormous success for them, an enormous opportunity. And I want to point out here, one of the other things, when you always get at something like this, like sodium, it's going to drive something else. And one of the things it's driving is interest in potassium. Because sodium content and potassium content in the diet have to be linked in a certain ratio. And now, boy, everybody's concerned about getting enough potassium. So if you have something that's high in potassium, what was I working on this week that I was amazed? Tart cherries. Tart cherries are very, very high, off the chart in potassium. Potatoes are higher than a banana. I mean, so you start to think about this. There's a whole bunch of new opportunities for some products that have been hanging around. Here's more stuff on sodium you can go back and look at, but if you see all the products as they're changing, that's what that top lines are. The one on the left is bakery and cereals. The other one is marinated meats, and you can see how they're coming out with new product introductions 2010 versus 2009. The brown lines are 2010. So there's a lot of movement now. Here's what sodium, what they're most purchasing, low sodium. A lot of movement already in changing products. And lastly, 2 slides. What are America's top health concerns? If you want to go out there and really address them, we're working on potatoes this week. Potatoes are perfectly as a heart-healthy item, for example. Low sodium, low fat, fairly low, 115 calories for a potato, very high potassium, a lot of this stuff. You can start to package things in different ways. The new number one concern is mental sharpness. Are we sharp this morning? Are we tired? Are we driving a truck and feeling tired? It has surpassed heart disease and cancer. And then we see a really kind of new and very interesting one, and that is eye health. Vision is particularly important to all of us. The number 2 selling dietary supplement in the United States, Centrum Silver, is number 1, shows you the power of the over 100 million people over age 50, is Bausch & Lomb's Preservision. Based on a government study that says vitamin A, lutein, what else is in there? Beta-carotene, zinc, and something else. They just took the government's results, put them in a package, charged you $35 a bottle, and became number 2 overnight. So that's a very viable option for food now. And what you'll see here, here's what they want in terms of new functional foods. Obviously, weight control is number 1. Lowering cholesterol, which the cereal guys are going after big time. Digestion, probiotics. FDA and FTC have banned the use of immunity claims on probiotics. Ouch to Nestle, ouch to Dannon. What's going to happen there? They're going to go running back and look for products that are naturally high in vitamin C. So dust off the orange juice, dust off the potato, and here is a ready-made market for you. Lower blood pressure, satiety, blood sugar, on. So big mark, 100, that's a huge business, 37 billion right there. And 2 things I want to point out. There's some very new markets, and as we do things like look for heart-healthy products, we have to think how markets change. As these boomers are getting older, they're getting into the age group, 100 million people, where they're not only having their first heart attack or could have their first heart attack, they're having their first stroke. Strokes in the United States have gone, 7.6% of all people under age, 65, have had a stroke. That's amazing. Strokes are going up under age 65, and they're going down over age 65, particularly in some of our different racial groups, because they are more prone to heart attacks and strokes and things like the birth control pill. So talk about sodium and high blood pressure. Here comes the stroke market. The American Heart Association has put in a new stroke division, and they are going to be relentless. And look at this. It was always, who's concerned about high cholesterol and high blood pressure? It was always the baby boomers and older. But look at, almost half, 40% are concerned about blood pressure of young people, not about heart health. That's not the thing. They don't want to have high blood pressure like their parents. 1 in 3 people have high blood pressure in the United States. 1 in 3. Now, lastly, kids. This is the saddest thing I can think about in terms of health and children. We have obviously overweight kids, but more than that, we have kids at risk. 1 in 8 kids already have more than 2 risk factors for heart disease, according to the Heart Association. And you know what? The data stinks, because we haven't collected blood from children in this country. We don't do that. Nobody wants their child to go to the pediatrician. They have to check their cholesterol when they're a child. But they're doing it now. Here's what the American Heart Association, American Academy of Pediatrics, and the National Institute of Health has started monitoring calcium at age 3. We don't think calcium is going to be an issue. They put their little feet in one of those little monitors, and bingo. Blood pressure at age 3. They set new standards. They have these little itsy-bitsy cuffs. How many of you have had your child's blood pressure taken? There you go. Wait until moms start hearing that their children have high blood pressure. They're overweight, they're going to. Talk about sodium. They're drawing blood for children from age as young as age 2, but no later than age 8 in the pediatrician's office by mandate. They are mandated by law to do this. If you have a family history or if the child is overweight, then they do it younger. They're counseling on weight by law for the first time ever. And here's the killer. The American Academy of Pediatrics and the American Heart Association have agreed to give your child Lipitor and all those terrible drugs. One says as young as age 8 and one says as young as age 10. And when moms start to figure this out, and they are, number 5 on the list of worries, number 1 is proper growth, number 2 is like you know, building strong bones and proper immunity. And right now, number 4 is preventing diseases later in life. And wait, as you see these markets, here's kids and cholesterol. It is such a big mass market. It is just waiting to explode. Nobody's got the nerve to touch it. But when somebody starts making, you know, like oatmeal for kids, it's heart healthy. Soy products for kids, they're heart healthy. It's not a hard thing to do, but it is a gold mine.